Now I've got to point them in the same direction. Let's see. So I'll tell you what to start with. Yeah. Let me see if I'm in both. Good enough. Hello, everybody. We're ready to start the meeting now. We're very excited. We've increased our numbers by 50% from last month to this month. Woo! Isn't that exciting? Thank you, Amy, for being that extra 50%, and Kathy's 50. And well, anyways, we add up to 150 this week. I wanted to share an experience that I had recently, and I do hospice chaplaincy, so I'm around people who need and have caregivers all the time. And with the Parkinson's group, I hear the stories of people who are struggling because the caregivers are quite often on 24/7 for great lengths of time, and the needs that the Parkinson's person has, and even other family members and such. Well, here's my tale of woe. This summer, when my one sister went to Mexico, she and my brother-in-law go for 6 weeks to catch up on the church work. They're missionaries in Mexico. Well, my mom's been a big concern because she has such severe back issues. Her back looks like a question mark or a pretzel, whatever you want to call it. And starting the beginning of the summer, she started having a lot more pain. And so my sister, leaving for 6 weeks rather, but it felt like 6 months, Mom lives 3 miles from Rhonda, my sister. And so Rhonda wasn't comfortable leaving Mom by herself like that. And so we ended up flying Mom down here to Virginia. And she stayed for 3 weeks with my brother up in Richmond. At the end of that time, my brother moved to Fredericksburg. It had nothing to do with Mom staying with him for 3 weeks, I'm sure. And then Mom came down here and stayed with Sharon and me. And we became the caregivers. Now, that was right after Sharon's school year ended. And so Mom came to her retirement party and all that good stuff. But for those 3 weeks, trying to manage Mom's medications, trying to get her comfortable. Mom stayed with my daughter, Sarah, who's a mile from us. And we became the caregivers, and it became very stressful. And it's the first time that we've known this type of stress in our own lives, these types of situations. And it was very instructive. I don't know what the right word is, but it was good for me to be aware. And I'll say that Sharon certainly took the brunt of it. She was much more organized in her mind about helping Mom with her medications. I couldn't tell one pill from another once they got out of their pill bottle. And so Sharon had to manage that. She did a list for Mom of what she was supposed to take the next morning. Whether Mom did what she was instructed to do, well, I guess in my case, the nut doesn't fall far from the tree, such as it were. But the opportunity to be the caregiver, and as Sharon and I shared that responsibility, was really important to me, and to try to understand what people go through when they become the caregivers. And I guess I'm comparing that with our need for care from God, and how a lot of times we're able to be independent and pretty much don't need to pray, don't need to worship God. I mean, life will just go on normally, and usually that only lasts for a while. And then we need to acknowledge God, we need God's help, we need His involvement in our lives in greater and greater ways. And that's good for us, because being independent is not all that it's cracked up to be. We need to worship God, we need to be in positions where we serve Him and honor Him with our lives and with our hearts. And so it's just important that we trust that God is the great caregiver for us, and that we have Him in our lives. Well, while I've been talking, our group has increased again, so we've now doubled from last month. Thank you, Sharon, for joining us. Yes. Yes, the greater half of our caregiving team to my mom. Thank you, Sharon, for that too. We're happy to have a guest speaker, and well, let me pray, and then I'll give my introduction, brief as it will be. Amy will tell us more about what she wants us to know. Father, I thank you for the way that you care for us. Father, we know that we can bring all of our cares to you, and that your love remains strong for us. Thank you, Father, for those who are caregivers in our lives, those who help us, those who make our lives better because of the spiritual care, personal care, and even physical care that they give. Thank you, Father, for being with us every day. May we share your love with others. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pastor Matt.
Yes, go ahead, Kathy. Yes.
I do have a joke.
Oh, please. Yes,
if
yes.
that's all right.
Yes, come on up.
All right, so there was a pastor who was very concerned because one of his typical congregants had stopped coming to church for a couple weeks, and so he was very concerned about this man, and so he decided as a pastor to go over and check on him, and he went and he knocked on the door and no answer, and he rang the doorbell and tried 3 or 4 times to walk around the house, tried to get in contact with this man, and eventually decided he just had to leave him a note. So he took out a piece of paper and he wrote down Revelation 3:20 and said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in unto him, and we will sup with him, and I will sup with him, and he with me." He left this note at the door and was still praying and hoping to see this man again. And about a week later, he received a letter, and in the letter there was another scripture reference, and it said this. Give me a second. I have to Google it.
Probably Genesis 3, I'm thinking.
Yes, you're very right. Yes. This is Genesis 3, and said, "I heard your voice, and I hid myself, for I was naked." See you on Sunday. Very nice.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, Amy, the floor is yours.
Follow up the joke. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's I can.
Oh.
All right. Audience. My name is Amy. I am an occupational therapist in the Hampton Roads area. I have been in Hampton Roads about 15 years. Been in OT almost as long, and worked primarily with, well, not primarily, I would say, but for a significant portion of that, worked with neuro patients. Leading up to this job, I did home health and was on a Parkinson's team, as we called it, where we would focus specifically on Parkinson's patients and dealing with the symptoms because they are so unique, and training is necessary. So I have been working for this company for about a year and a half. Well, no, excuse me, almost a year. And I have come tonight to the support group to just let you know of another item, another device out there that may be beneficial to address some of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So I'm a clinical specialist now in Virginia for this company. It's Modus Nova. And what they have done is they have created a robotic home exercise program, a robotic in-home exercise program, maybe I should say, that goes direct to patients, so not to clinics or hospitals, but directly to a patient so that they can use it at home to get that high dose repetition that all of the research shows is necessary to combat some of the symptoms that come along with having Parkinson's disease. So again, it is a monitor and then an attachment for either the hand or the foot or both that you put on and then follow along with certain programs that cause you to get that high dose repetition. So as opposed to just 50 to 100 repetitions, which you may get from traditional exercises at home, you can get 400, 600, up to 1,000 by doing this 20 minutes to an hour a day. The idea is that, okay, so in terms of Parkinson's symptoms, we're talking rigidity, slow movements, and changes in coordination, right, primarily. So the goal with these devices is that they provide the stretch, the repetition of movement, and the active assistance to pick up on any trace movements that a person can do and then kick in and help so that they become more effective and over time mitigate further decline or even cause functional improvements. There's a hand attachment here, which focuses on flexion and extension of the wrist. So you're addressing the muscles in the hand as well as all the muscles in the forearm. So your goal would be to, with that high dose repetition, improve dexterity, coordination, strength, and those tone, spasticity, and muscle endurance, so that you can be more effective with kind of the functional day-to-day things that require fine motor. For example, holding a plate, or tying a shoe, or turning a doorknob. The foot does the same thing. Grab it, it's kind of out of the foot is the same thing, follows the same program. Same programs on here. The goal with the foot would be to address with the repetition of movement, flexion and extension of the ankle, foot drop, toe clearance to improve balance, reduce fall risk, increase strength, reduce tone, address spasticity. Same as the hand, just a different focus. These are covered by insurance. They were FDA approved multiple years ago and are now covered almost all the time. I think 98% of the time by Medicare, and then a lot of the other major insurance plans followed suit and they cover them now as well. So the process is very similar to any other durable medical equipment. If, for example, you have an AFO or a wheelchair or a walker or a hospital bed or anything that you've gone through the process of receiving through insurance, we just get a prescription, medical record, and when I say we, I mean you don't have to do that, but we get those items, and then if approved by your insurance plan, then this is shipped to you and you start using it 20 minutes up to 60 minutes. The goal is 5 days a week. It works in conjunction with, I want to make it clear, this is not a replacement for therapy, traditional therapy in any way whatsoever. This works in conjunction with your therapy. So it uses AI to monitor your abilities from the first time you put it on, and then progress you over time based on what you can do. So it picks up on any trace movement, purposeful movement. It will detect tremors and adjust to that, or spasticity, tone, but it picks up on any trace movement, and then there's an air pump in the back that kicks in and provides active assistance. So the goal is that even if sorry, I say patient a lot because it's what I'm used to saying. Even if you feel that you don't have functional movement in any of these joints, that is the purpose of this. It can provide passive assistance, so do 100% of the work, up to putting over 100 pounds of force on either joint, and it adjusts itself and then progresses over time. So in order to either improve function, mitigate further decline, stretch, address edema, and all those things I kind of mentioned before. It's created, because it was created for home use, it is very easy to put on independently. The goal is independent use at home as your exercise program in conjunction with therapy. If you're not in therapy, you also qualify completely to receive something like this. It would be my job, or any of the other reps around the country who are near you, their job to come out and assist with setup and training. We also have recovery coaches who work at our headquarters, and they're there to support from a bit of a distance with kind of calling and checking in and helping patients become comfortable with the device, get trained over time, train caregivers, family members, if that's necessary. So there's multiple supports along the way. It's usually when I say, are there any questions, but nobody can answer me. Are there any questions?
So besides, so it's covered
buy Medicare 98% of the time.
Yes.
But how, or does it depend on the individual? So Medicare, how much does Medicare cover them?
Okay, so.
Because there's secondaries involved.
Yes,
as well,
yes.
right?
Okay, so in terms of insurance coverage, if Medicare, and this is traditional Medicare, not these Advantage plans, which aren't as consistent with coverage at this time, but traditional Medicare covers this, like I said, about 98% of the time, so much so that we just send it out as soon as we have all the appropriate documentation, because with a neurodiagnosis, it is such a high rate of approval. Now, I said a lot of the larger insurance plans are now covering as well, not as consistently as Medicare, but consistently enough that we still do the same thing. If for some reason it's denied, then what happens is that person, if they want to be, are put into a 60-day free trial where they will receive it anyway and can use it kind of as a boot camp for 60 days, get as much as they can out of it. There's an appeals process if we need to do that. I don't know how familiar you are, unfortunately, with insurance, but it's a racket, you know. But I think the more exposure that people have to this, the more exposure doctors have to this. There's so many neurologists even in this area that don't know it exists. You know, initially it was developed for clinics, and so it was in either clinics or hospitals or inpatient rehabs. And patients would come to therapy and they would set up a profile and they would use it for that short little period of time every day, but it wasn't filling that gap of getting the repetitions to address like the neurospasticity and the effects of something neurological. So they went back, got it approved for sell direct to patients, and kind of that's where we are now. There are still some insurances that are difficult, like TRICARE, for example, Medicaid. But again, there's that 60-day free trial and then the appeals process.
And as a DME, does it require a prescription from the doctor?
Yes. So what we do is, and I'm glad you said DME, because again, I think people a lot of times with a chronic condition are a little bit more familiar with that process. This does not take the amount of time, for example, getting a wheelchair takes, where it can be like a year of back and forth documentation and all that stuff. If someone is interested in trialing it, then there are clinical specialists such as myself all throughout the country. I'm the one here for the state of Virginia, and what we do, our job, we're all therapists. We're not sales people. We have to be a little, but we are all either PTs or OTs with a pretty extensive background in neuro, and our job is to bring this equipment to your therapy office, to your home, to wherever is convenient for you, and let you try it. And if you're interested, then we kind of take the reins. We get in touch with your doctor, get the prescription, get your medical record, and none of that falls on your medical professionals or you as the person receiving it. That's our job. Yeah. So again, this is everything. I get asked pretty frequently. Can you hook this up to your own television, or do you have to use this monitor? This is the monitor. Can I see it? Yes, I see the monitor. This is the monitor that comes with this is what you would receive at home. And the reason for that is, the reason you can't use it on your own screens is because the pneumatic pump, the air pump, is on the back. And that's what kicks in. There's a hose that attaches, and that's what kicks in and helps with the active assistance to get those, again, that high dose repetition that's going to address dexterity, it's going to address the foot drop, it's going to address the increased tone, that's going to strengthen muscles and improve the speed of movements. So the either hand or foot is connected into the back of the screen, and then it's as simple as putting it on and getting started. Oh, let me say this. If there's any issue with contracture at all, there are multiple grips for the hand. This is the most challenging grip. Put your hand essentially into neutral. This is the easiest, I would say, grip to hold. This is the smallest. If there's any type of contracture at all. And then there's one in the middle, which is what I have on right now. It also comes with the wedge so that you can position your hand in elevation so that you can find if you're not comfortable, you're not going to use it. So it helps to find a very comfortable position and a functional position so that your wrist can move freely. And also if edema at all is an issue, getting that elevation while pumping this basically built-in muscle water pump you have here, it's very effective with that as well. So like I said, whether you can do it independently or need a little bit of help, you just put this on, hit start, and get going. There are different programs on here and all sorts of different types of programs. So some people like the gamification and the distraction of the kind of theatrics, and so there's a lot of that. The first ones are kind of passive stretching, where you're just going to warm up. Then they get a little bit more competitive, a little bit more involved and interactive. There's ones on here if the gaminess is not for you. It's just very kind of rudimentary therapy, repetition exercises. And then there are ones specifically designed where you use the other hand that's not wearing the device.
With the race car one, I think our grandkids would be using it. I'd never get to it.
No. Oh yeah. Listen, I had, so side story. I had a spouse of someone who received this, who had a stroke, call me recently, and they were in the Outer Banks, and she said, "Can you come over? I don't think he's doing this correctly." I was like, "Okay, I'm coming." And I got there, and he was doing that race car game, and he was so competitive against himself, mind you,
yes,
that he was taking his unaffected hand and jerking it up to get around the turns faster to beat himself. So, we were laughing so hard. We were like, "Listen, you're confusing the AI because now it doesn't know, what your actual limitations are." But he was so into it. We were like, "You were gonna make you sit on that hand or something, tie it to your leg, like the old restriction therapy back in the day." But it is. If you have a competitive edge, this is a little bit.
Yeah.
This is kind of right up your alley. I haven't even seen this.
Oh boy.
So you can just, again, I have another patient who I think since the day he's gotten this has done nothing but play blackjack. Nothing. But anytime you put it on and you're doing the exercises and you're following the programs, whichever ones you choose, you're gaining, right? You can go through and choose just what you're interested in. You can hit begin therapy and it will take you through a kind of a planned out exercise program. Or there's categories down here where you can select, for example, stretch, dexterity, gross motor, fine motor. Pick what you want to work on that day. Again, the goal is 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. The compliance with this is over 80%. I think traditional home exercise programs, I don't know, 10, 20%?
Yeah, a lot less.
Maybe higher starting out. But there's very subjective. You don't know if you're doing it right. You don't know if you're not being progressed over time, if you're not actively seeing a therapist who's adjusting it. And there's just a lot of, am I wasting my time? Is this helping me? And not knocking it. It's what I do. I'm an OT. But this provides the feedback through the reports so that every time you put it on, it's measuring your range and what you're doing and the number of repetitions, the number of minutes you're doing it down to 1/10 of a degree. So the patient the person using it sees over time, I've done it for this many days in a row, for this many minutes total. My passive range of motion started here and now it's here. Active started here, now it's here. All those reports can be generated. The other benefit to that is all those reports can be viewed and utilized if someone is actively in therapy. So the therapist can get in, they can adjust the prescription, set specific goals.
Yeah.
They can also utilize the progress and those numbers to justify additional therapy visits.
I'm messaging with George.
Hey, George.
He says we have a large group, 61 people watching in.
Hey, well now I'm nervous.
And you just said something that helped to answer one of his questions. He said if we're already working with rehab facilities, hospitals or nursing homes, how would we be able to coordinate work this together?
Yes, so I will share my all my contact information. I believe at this time there are 30 plus of us within the country. So typically there's someone close enough to travel to you to do the trial.
Okay.
If not, we do a lot virtually. I think, you know, you can get straight on the internet and go to the website and order this, and we will reach out to the doctor for a prescription.
Company paid trip, take your family to
love
Seattle
it.
and see George
Listen,
and the
I've
group
been
out
to a lot
there.
of cool, I was just telling you I was getting ready to go to Rappahannock. I've been to a lot of places that I've never been before that I really have enjoyed.
Rappahannock, Seattle, Rappahannock, Seattle.
So how many states, this state, you're not limited right now to what states could see this?
Nope.
No limitation.
No limitation. Just maybe the ability of one of us to travel to you if you're maybe in a more rural area, at which time we can do things virtually. And like I said, you can get on the internet and just order this, and we will, you know, we still will go through insurance and all those steps. I think that the best case scenario is that a PT or an OT comes out and you trial it with them, because then you can determine if it's appropriate, if it's a good fit for the patient, and then you have somebody to kind of walk you through the steps. There's a website that Modus Nova has a website, and there is a page on there that lists all the reps currently in the country, where they're located, and how to get in contact with them. So I can help with that, and again, I'll provide my contact information for anyone here in the Virginia, essentially. I go as high as Fredericksburg. I spent some time in the Outer Banks. I'm basically there. I think there's one of me, and there's one of clinical specialists in DC and one in Charlotte. And anywhere that falls in between that would be me coming. And again, I will share all my contact information, and more than happy to get anybody connected with somebody closer to them.
You mentioned about it measuring the angle.
Yes.
Is there a version of this equipment that helps people who have had like knee replacement surgeries or?
So there are, outside of the neuro world, there are implications for this that may be orthopedic. Like for example, a very contracted hand with this high dose,
I see
gentle range.
Yeah, I see that in some of my hospice patients. They'd really benefit from equipment like this, most likely.
And with those patients, you know, my thought on that is, where else are they going to get it? You know, nobody is going to sit. I mean, I don't want to say nobody, because there are probably people, caregivers who do, but to spend that amount of time getting that many repetitions to actually break up some of that tone and contracture, so that say they can cut their nails or improve their skin integrity on their hand. I don't know many other places that can be achieved. So yes, I would say don't discount anyone as a candidate for this. Let them get additional information, trial it, and then let the doctor decide if it's appropriate. Let the doctor decide if they have a diagnosis that this is appropriate for. I think because it's new and there's not as much exposure yet, that's the goal here, that I don't want to turn anybody down from giving it a try, because they can't just get on Amazon and buy one, you know? And there's not a lot else out there that's going to do what this does. Again, and so the foot, I had the hand on earlier. The foot, let me just show you.
George is asking about walking. Walking specifically would not be part of the therapy because they're connected.
Yes.
To the monitor.
No. So the goal here would be that you're sitting to do the exercise program, and then the benefits of it, the repetition and the addressing the tone, the rigidity, the coordination, the things that cause, for example, foot drop, that would improve the ability to walk, balance, and function. So these
strength and endurance.
Yeah, these are exactly. Translate
So like
into
a stroke victim then might benefit
Oh,
from?
absolutely. So this was initially developed for post-acute stroke, high tone patients, because they're in that neurospastic window where just repetition is how you regenerate those pathways, so that your brain is effectively able to tell your hand or your foot what to do again. We focus on the hand and the foot because so much function can be regained by being able to flex and extend your ankle, or being able to flex and extend your hand. We're talking about, you know, being able to walk effectively, or being able to tie a shoe, or turn a key, or, you know, the functional things that, like, as an OT, that's our goal, either to regain that function or decrease its loss over time with something chronic. So with the foot, let me just show you. She's thinking, I wonder what shoes I put on today, because this many people watch.
We're also stylish, so.
Oh yeah, certainly.
I was admiring your shoes.
Oh, thank you, thank you. You're my way of saying I have closed toes on when it's 100 degrees outside. I feel comfortable making fun of myself around you because I arrived and I didn't know who this was, and I was trying to pull open a push door like excessively, and it was very embarrassing.
We shared the Far Side cartoon about
Yes.
the Midvale School for the Gifted. Yes.
Listen, I'm so glad you're the only one who saw this, and then come to find out it was who I was spending the evening with.
Now there are millions of people hearing us talk about this. So.
I know. Yes. Well, first time I've called myself out. Okay, so this is gonna, I switched off the cord, so it's gonna take a minute for it to come and on, but I just wanna show you how you put on the foot. And then what I'll do is I'll turn on one of the games so you can just, one of the programs, so you can just get an idea of kind of what it sounds like, how it looks, how that goes. The foot here, so you would not have a shoe on, the way I do now. And the straps have been improved to what is called a boa strap, which is kind of like a dial that has a more snug fit, and I believe it's easier for the patient to get on and off. But it's as easy as that. And then it's just the same thing, following along to the programs, reflexing, extending, controlling the game controls by using your ankle. Okay? I'm gonna do the hand as an example because I think it's easier to see when you're in the programs. But again, with the foot, huge benefit would be, I think, in terms of Parkinson's population, addressing foot drop, addressing that rigidity with stretching, decreasing tone, addressing spasticity, and then depending on your symptoms, you know, everyone is different, completely different. It may just be that you're in the very early stages of this and want to strengthen and work on endurance. So thank you. So yes, let me show you. I shouldn't have otherwise read this. In terms of, I got my little notification here for Wi-Fi right now. It does need to be on Wi-Fi, I think, when it's initially set up, and then if updates come about. But besides that, it's not required. And again, if this is received by you know, whomever goes through the process and is interested in it and is approved, then hopefully you are in an area where someone can come out one-on-one and help with the setup and getting everything going. You're put at a baseline, like kind of low, medium, high, or pain sensitive, but immediately the AI kicks in and starts reading your specific abilities and then adjusting to kind of acclimating to meet those, and then adjusting over time. For example, if you're having a day where there's a lot of rigidity or a bunch of tremor, like your tremors are worse, maybe because the day before was a really busy day and your symptoms are just elevated, this reads purposeful movement versus those tremors and adjusts itself. It will adjust to being fatigued versus muscles being weak. It will adjust to muscles strengthening over time, so needing to kind of back off and have the person using it have to do more. The programs where it's addressing coordination, it feels a lot more loose, so they have to really have control. One of the things I like about this a lot as a therapist is that there's a lot, you know, I think when we look at progress over time, we look at like those end ranges, how high can your hand go, how low can it go, and am I losing any of that? But this really forces the person using it to maintain neutral and have the strength and muscle endurance, the ability to be in the position that's functional. Where we don't do much in life like walking around like this with our hand all the way up or hand all the way down, but we do have to be able to maintain neutral and have the strength and endurance to do so, and the coordination. So that's something I again don't think that you can get many other places.
Do you want to try to use a hotspot?
Oh no, I don't need it.
Okay.
Nope, I should be all up to date. So you would sit down, put it on. And again, because it was developed for independent, like home use, the idea is that even someone like with hemiplegia from a stroke can put this on with one hand, with one side functioning, and then just hit play. There we go. I have some of my favorites. I think this one kind of shows pretty well what it's doing. So then you just hit start, and again, once I have this on, it is measuring everything I'm doing and generating those reports and showing me my progress over time. this red wand right here with my movement of my wrist and meeting these notes. Oop, not very well. So that's me, and then that's the machine. And I don't have a neurological condition, so it's kind of confused as to why I'm doing, it's gonna start kind of fighting against me in a minute because it's gonna, realize that I need strengthening more so than some of the other. So then there's frequent breaks, and kind of it will put you back into the neutral position, and then another round.
By the end, is it going really fast?
Yes, and it will, so for example, let me turn this down just a bit now that I've heard it. For example, if someone has had a stroke, they tend to have that flexor tone where they're always turning in. So this will quickly recognize that that flexion is not an issue, but the extension is. So you'll start seeing the notes very high up, so that they're having to extend their wrist, drop back down, do it again. Repetition, repetition, repetition.
Yeah.
Let me show you one more. Just kind of where it's taking measurements and the more rudimentary exercises. Have any other questions at the moment? Does George have any questions?
The name of the company, can I assume that means like new motion?
Somebody asked me this the other day. It's Greek. I should know the answer.
Is it Greek?
I think Nova is modus motion. Nova is
New.
new.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad it's
I
not
think
Spanish.
Latin. Not Greek,
Yeah,
Latin.
I was thinking it was Latin.
Yes. Yes.
I'm glad it's not Spanish, because in Spanish, Nova means it won't go.
Ah, is it?
Yeah, that's why Chevy couldn't sell any Novas in Mexico, because why would you buy a car that the name of it is it won't go?
Well, my question is, why do you know this?
I know lots of useless things, Amy, and no one can tell you better than that than Sharon.
I didn't realize when you arrived because you told a story about caregiving and Sharon, and when you walked in, I thought you were just another patron, and I heard the name Sharon, I was like, okay. So again, another, let me show you example. There are card games on here, like Planko and several different card games, where the idea is you use the hand that's not wearing it at the moment and play like a couple rounds of solitaire, for example, and then it will say take a break, and it will take you through your exercises. I think that one's nice when you're just not quite feeling working out that day. I have a lot of patients who put this on and will say stretch in the morning for 20 minutes, take it off, go about their day, put it back on later in the day, do a little bit more. I know with particularly like my patients with MS and Parkinson's, fatigue is a real thing. So sometimes it's nice to be able to break it up. There's no harm in doing that. There's no right or wrong. Put it on for as much time as you can tolerate, as often as you can tolerate, is going to be beneficial.
That one looks like Candy Crush, I know that's popular. With
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because the names are slightly different.
Oh yeah, I noticed you have the MFL football.
I was looking at that's new.
Yeah, like
I
what?
see that one.
Yeah.
I guess blackjack, is that universal? I don't know. Maybe the card games you can
Yeah, I want to look like that power lift guy.
powerless guy. Hey, you could get there. You just need one of these.
I'm assuming they're ambidextrous.
Yes. Another, so glad you said that. Another thing about this device, just from a therapeutic standpoint, that I think is really two things. Remind me about the billing, the CPT code also. Two things. It is ambidextrous. A lot of things out there in the market, you have to have a specific right and left. With this one, particularly with someone dealing with something like Parkinson's or MS, where it is affecting all the limbs, you just need one device and you can put it left and right. What we do is create two profiles so that you can monitor the changes in both hands separately, and you just quickly switch profiles. I haven't mentioned this yet, but okay, so this is taking my range of motion. I'm following those green arrows. I'm the purple, and I'm trying to move where it's telling me to move, and then it will take a break. In terms of, yes, so it can switch from right to left with no issue, same device, no need to change. The only thing you'd ever need to change on the hand is switching out the grips as you improve over time and have more range in that hand. In terms of insurance, because it is a new device, it hasn't been out there but so long, they are not covering the hand and the foot at the same time. Say for someone who has had a stroke and has hemiplegia and needs to address both, or maybe someone with Parkinson's who's having dexterity issues with their hands and then also foot drop. So what we've done to kind of combat that as a company is once you receive one, you can switch them out as often as you want. So you can use the hand for a couple months. We send out shipping labels and the boxing instructions, mail the hand back in, and they will send the foot right out. And you can do that as many times as you wish. The other thing, I think this goes back a little bit to George's question about insurance. It is, wait, where was I with that? Oh, this has its own CPT code, which is the billing code for insurance. It's pretty unique that is the case, but it's because it's so unique, there's not a lot of other AI-driven home exercise programs on the market. So the benefit to that is that this does not affect any patient's ability to receive anything else. So I think a lot of times there's hesitation by doctors and patients that, hey, if I commit to this and then something else or something better or something different comes along, it's gonna be 5 years before I'm eligible for it. That's not the case here. This does not affect getting any other durable medical equipment, any other similar devices, or therapy visits, or anything like that billed through insurance. So again, another thing from a therapist standpoint, I really appreciate, because we deal with that a lot. You know, like we got this patient, this AFO, and now they're not eligible for such and such, and we have to wait 5 years, and if something goes wrong with it, then we're dealing with that. That's not the situation here.
George asked about TRICARE, since you work in Virginia.
Yes, TRICARE has not come along as quickly as some of the other plans. But again, my advice to people is always do not miss the opportunity to try it based on that, because for one, if we don't keep sending these requests to insurance, it's never going to be covered more, because they're not going to know it exists. So I think the more exposure they get to this being out there, the better chance that they start approving it, but then also they can be thrown into that free trial where then we appeal.
So maybe just go over that again, the free trial.
Okay,
for
sure.
those that might have missed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if, he's gonna talk over me. So that little guy. So if, for example, a patient, someone who is interested, you know, wherever you may be in the country, and this can be geographical too, things are covered differently in different states. But say if, for example, someone has TRICARE in Virginia, I'm familiar with Virginia, and we get the prescription and we get the medical record and it's denied, then what happens is, if you are have done a demo or a trial with the device, and you are affiliated with some sort of therapy clinic or medical institution, then you can be put into what we call the 60-day free trial, where we will send it out despite the denial, and you have 2 months to use it. We tell people use it as much as you can, treat it kind of like a boot camp, get as much as you can out of it, talk with your doctor, explain what you're gaining from it, and then there's appeal process that we can assist with. Also, if it is denied, there is a rental program, just a monthly rental program. I don't know the cost off the top of my head, but I can get that information. And then there's just a cash purchase price. Again, not positive of the numbers, but I can get that for you all. I've also seen a couple instances where, a few instances, and I've heard of more around the country, where, for example, someone is denied and they are able to get a grant through the VA and receive it. Or maybe they get the hand, want both at the same time, and the VA will kick in, or some sort of grant will kick in and cover the other. A lot of times with Medicare, it's treated as similar to like a wheelchair, for example, other durable medical equipment, where Medicare is paying the rental for 13 months, and then it's capped off, and then it's considered owned by the patient. So over that period of time, if it's not a good fit, you send it back. Nobody's stuck. Oh, last thing before more questions or whatever y'all want to do. In terms of a copay, you asked me this in insurance, primary and secondary insurance. That's where I got sidetracked. If there is, like, for example, if Medicare is primary and it covers, all but a couple percentages, and there is no secondary, there's a financial hardship program within Modus Nova, where it's a simple form that's filled out online, and then the company waives the copay. Because I know that they're, very aware that we're dealing with people on fixed incomes a lot of times, not dealing with the best time in their life. And so the goal is to not stick anyone with a bill that they can't afford to pay while they are able to use this.
Very good. George said that American Parkinson's Disease Association has a scholarship, $400 to $450. That would maybe help apply.
Yes, see, and I need to hear that stuff too, because, there's so many, I think the worst case scenario is that people are apprehensive to even try it because they are afraid of getting stuck with a bill, because it's happened to them before. Whether it's a medication or a copay at a doctor's office, or maybe durable medical equipment, or maybe they're shown something they can try and they get very excited about it, and then it's denied, and there's just no alternative route for getting it. And that is, I think this company has done a really good job of mitigating that.
So is the monthly rental rate then, they do that, is that a rent to own monthly rental rate or no?
I believe, yes, it would, yes. The end game would be a rent to own. Again, I'm not positive of the numbers, so I don't want to tell you wrong. But yes, I believe that it would be over the span, almost like leasing a car, where if you decide you want to keep it, then everything you've paid into it has gone towards the purchase price. And who knows also, with all the changes constantly going on with insurance, whether you might be renting it for, a short period of time, and suddenly your policy is approving it, or people are frequently changing policies. So, there, again, I think that the take home is don't not give yourself the opportunity to try it, because there's a lot of avenues for receiving it, even if insurance is a racket.
Yep.
Hope nobody working for insurance companies listen.
They know it better than anybody else does.
Yes, and I don't feel bad saying it, because I've dealt with it
Yeah.
from a clinical standpoint.
Yeah.
I've dealt with it from this company. I meet people every day who, just their lives are affected by things that they're not allowed to receive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Even if people do work for insurance companies,
They probably have.
When you're on this side of the table, same with the
Yeah.
clinical side,
Yeah,
right? It's different when you're on
absolutely.
that side.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is. It's hard to step back kind of and see it from all the different angles. And that's why I say the first step is just trying it, seeing if it's something that would even help. And then if so, getting the guidance through the process and just knowing you're not going to get stuck with a bill you can't pay. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Where's the company from?
Atlanta.
Okay.
Based out of Atlanta. Yeah. We have headquarters in Atlanta. It's still a small company. It's a tech startup company. I think my weekly calls, and when I have an issue, I reach out to part of the CEO, and that's kind of there's a couple people in between, but it's neat. It's been a really neat experience for me, because you have questions, or you have suggestions, or you see a patient do something cool. There's like a coder you can email, and they're doing the coding, or there's the CEO who's like very hands-on and involved in the insurance side of things and the hardware itself. So it's been fun. It's been a neat experience.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'd quit.
That's right. Yeah. How long did it take you to get here from Virginia Beach today?
Whew. Loaded question. That construction. I sent a picture to my boyfriend on the way, and it said it was 9 miles, 40 minutes. I was like, this is why I don't come through this one.
And did you make it in 40 minutes?
I did. I think it might have actually gone down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. But for those of you that don't know, in Hampton Roads here, we have a bridge tunnel to get across the water. It's maybe one of the longest in the country or world, or I don't know what exactly,
Yeah.
but it can be a bit of a nightmare if you don't hit it correctly.
Yeah.
But it also allows us to drive a car a very long distance
Yeah.
over and underwater.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I work with a church in Norfolk, and half of my hospice patients are on that side of the water.
You're probably all over. So you live here. You're here
Yeah,
in Hampton.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've learned to love podcasts.
Right back at you. Yes, I do. I do a lot of audiobooks.
Uh-huh.
I go. Probably the farthest would be Roanoke, towards the Outer Banks. Up kind of Fredericksburg's probably about as north as I've gone.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of driving. But I have 3 very young kids, so I don't
Yeah.
hate the driving
Right.
myself.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
my meditation time.
We have, and I'm not sure about the website, but
Mhm.
George said he would love to put a link or
Absolutely.
your information
Yes,
on the
yes.
website.
And it may just be easier. I know that the online, like using our website, can get you have to search a little bit to find all the reps and the contact information. So it may be easiest if I share mine, and then I can just help route people
Yeah.
towards the right,
Yeah.
the
Very good.
appropriate person depending on where they live. And again, anybody in this area, I'm available. My job is to be available. So, like I said, I'm a therapist first, and my job is just to bring this, try it, and see if it's appropriate. There's a lot of times I don't feel like it's a good fit for someone, and I'm pretty open about that. The majority of the time it is, because I think when there's a neurological diagnosis, there's just not a lot else out there that is as effective at that high dose repetition. 400, 600, 1,000 times every time you use it. Anything else?
My brother has been involved in Rocksteady Gym.
Yes.
But that, we
Where?
have the daily repetition. He's in Indiana,
Oh, okay.
northeastern
Okay.
Indiana.
I'm pretty, Wendy is kind of heads up the one near me in Hampton Roads, and I'm pretty involved there.
Yeah,
Um,
but that wouldn't have he
No.
couldn't get there every day and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and think too how often either people are in rural areas where it's hard to get somewhere like that. Something like COVID comes along where those things are just canceled all of a sudden, or transportation can be such an issue if you're no longer able to drive.
Yeah.
So I always try to reiterate, this is in conjunction with. This is not a replacement for going to Rocksteady. Absolutely not. I think getting out, that socialization, that group support,
Sure.
and this class itself is so important. This is in conjunction with. When going to traditional therapy, I think that one of the, again, from an OT standpoint, if I were in the clinic still working and my patient had this, I would take it as the opportunity to work on more skilled functional things when they were with me in the clinic, and then knowing that they're getting their exercises at home. Because, let's be honest, insurance is decreasing visits left and right. We're having to get them approved almost by the visit at this point. They'll say, we'll approve you for 10 additional visits. Well, what does 10 visits do for someone with a chronic neurological condition?
Right.
It's like an introduction to therapy, basically. But if those 10 visits can be used to educate and to do really skilled things in the clinic, knowing that they're getting this at home. And the therapist has the ability to sign in and see that and know it. You can't fake it. You can't, because if you put somebody on it that's not you, then the AI is going to be like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And, it's recording days, minutes, everything.
Well, I could see this being motivating to people because they're going to see progress.
Absolutely. I
It's-
think that's why compliance is high. Like I said, home exercise programs, when you're given the TheraBand or the sponges or weights and a paper and instructions, it's wonderful. It's absolutely better than not going home and exercising, but it's very subjective. It's hard to know without somebody in front of you that you're doing it correctly, that it's helping, that it's effective, that you're getting enough repetitions. It's sometimes hard to even remember if you did it. Like, did I do that today? I don't know. Well, here, it'll certainly tell you if you don't.
Can you show us the report, or can you show us?
I'm gonna show you. Yeah, let me here. I can pass around what the printout would look like so you all can see it. I'm gonna show it to the screen. And they can be, they're very, over there.
Some people are so visual with that.
Yes, no, I
It's
agree.
nice to see.
Oh, by the way, Amy has cookies.
I do. And I'm about to take them to the librarian over there and be like,
Don't
Mary.
worry, George, we'll eat them for you.
George. So this is an example of a report. And if you want to show that on the screen.
That's also helpful because sometimes clinical, like when people have access to their medical chart and they see the clinical lingo, it's like, I don't know what this means.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, I mentioned that I was part of a Parkinson's home health team for several years. And it is so difficult with someone with a chronic neurological condition to show progress, to quantify it. And you know you're helping. You know what you're doing is improving this person's function or quality of life. Or I hope there's something.
I can't figure out how to get it done, and I don't know what I'm showing everyone.
So this would be an example of a report. So this can get very clinical up to like very basic, but this is what, for example, you could see over time, your therapist could see, could be translated to showing progress and a progress report for additional therapy visits, and just self-motivation, knowing what I'm doing is making a difference.
What I see on here is active range of motion by degrees, active range of motion gains percentage-wise.
Let me show you how that translates onto the screen.
And passive range of motion, same thing.
So it's not going to have all the data, since this is my demo unit, but I can show you the screen it would go to and where they would see this. So this here would show minutes this day, minutes total over time, number of consecutive days, total number of days, and then these categories down here, like this is passive range of motion, where you started first day, where you are now. Active range of motion, where you started, where you are now. And it's so it can, I think that from what I understand, there can be very basic reports on here, and access to additional reports can be given. I think a lot of times it's not all initial because people can become overwhelmed by all that. But for example, if your therapist is viewing these reports and needs that more clinical data, then the recovery coach can unlock that. If a patient is very interested in seeing that, is not someone, you may be somebody a little more involved in what's going on with them, and wants to see those numbers and there's more technical reports, then they can have access to that as well. And then as a company, we see it, because we're collecting data all the time to know like what the compliance rate is and how is this effective based on diagnosis and condition and symptoms. But yeah, I think probably that's one of the most unique and beneficial aspects of this is the AI and the real-time reports being generated, not only for the motivational purposes, but in terms of the doctor seeing that it's beneficial what you're doing, your therapist seeing it's beneficial what you're doing, translating that into insurance, realizing that you need more therapy visits because you are actually improving over time. Like I said, it's so hard sometimes to quantify progress with these neurological conditions, like for example a stroke, where somebody is years out of a stroke. We see them as therapists, we know what we're doing is helping. Like you have somebody who has a contracture, like we know that opening up that hand will allow for improved skin integrity, which will keep somebody from, say, getting cellulitis, keep them out of the hospital, maybe keep them from dying.
Some of my hospice patients, their nails dig into their hands and
it'll be a wound, and then they're having wound care and they're having another person coming in poking and prodding at them, and neuro is unpredictable and complex and also really interesting because everyone's different and different things help different people respond to the same thing completely differently, and I just think this is really kind of across the boards very helpful for a lot of different types of people with different types of symptoms.
So I don't know if you can speak to this at all, but I'm very curious because you said it was a new word. It's still new enough to be small enough that the CEO is in there with you, not on a corporate jet. But my question for you is, especially with AI, which is a fairly new technology and a fairly new implemented technology. So I'm just curious with the startup, with the roots of this company. Where does the AI technology come from?
So I want to say 2021 is when it was FDA approved. It could be going back to my training, could be 2023, but I believe 2021. Hey there, you good?
Yes, is this for the men's group here?
I don't
No,
think so.
no, this is a Parkinson support group.
Yeah,
This
But
is
there
room,
are other meeting rooms.
I
yeah.
think this is room B.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us. We do have cookies.
It says meeting will be,
Room B.
What time are they scheduled for?
it starts at 5:30.
That,
No, that,
No,
we
that's
start
it.
at 5.
yeah, why don't you check at the desk, maybe they can clarify for you.
Okay.
Thanks.
What were we talking about?
We're supposed to have until 6:30.
Startup 21, 23 is when
Yes.
it's FDA approved.
Yes, and it has, I would say from that startup, it has changed kind of the framework of the company, and the goal has, changed over time to meet the need. So it was initially developed to bridge that gap, I would say, between, somebody has say a stroke, some sort of acute neuro incident, and they go into inpatient rehab, and they're getting all this therapy, you have to tolerate 3 to 4 hours a week just to be there. And then you're discharged, and then it's like, might take a week for home health to get out to you, might not get approved for home health because you're not technically homebound, might not be an outpatient clinic in your area that you can get to a couple times a week, that exists, that has the disciplines and has a trained therapist that can treat you appropriately. Even if there is a great one right by you, might be that the insurance is only going to pay for 2 hours, a couple times a week. So you've gone from 4 hours a day to maybe 4 hours a week. And so the goal was to bridge that gap. And I think that's why they started out with the initial idea of it being sold to clinics, and then realized, hey, this is not filling that gap, because they're still just coming in, putting it on for a few minutes a week. Yeah, it's great, but we're not addressing the neurospasticity and the actual need here. So it went back, individually approved. In terms of like the coding and the technology of it and how that has progressed with AI, I can't speak to you specifically because I've only been here about a year, but I do. Isn't the world just being taken over?
But I know,
Yeah.
but like you mentioned, most of the personnel right now
Yes.
are clinically trained OTs, PTs,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So my curiosity comes from, it's the Ben and Jerry story, right? I mean, where the AI technology, is that from like a Caltech startup
Well, I think
plan,
it was,
a Harvard startup plan, MIT, I mean, where?
I know it was an engineer. I know it was an engineer that had thought. I know that one of the first employees with the company was an OT, still there. Very kind of involved, higher up now. But I think there was just this. I think that it was the wherewithal to see probably an investor who saw a need, and then hired, invested and then hired on. But I think that it came from kind of the ability to see this gap in care, and then figure out what could be created to fill it. And fortunately or unfortunately, the direction we seem to be going is that AI and technology and robotics are going to have to step in and fill that gap, because insurance isn't doing it. You just can't get the face-to-face time to get the repetitions and the purposeful high-dose exercise to address these neuro deficits. And if technology is kind of superseding what insurance can do at this point, then how can we not give people the opportunity to use it?
Yeah. Yeah, they say AI changes about every 3 months at this point,
It's wild,
and
isn't it?
develops what else it can do, and
Which is terrifying.
oh
I
yeah,
think a little.
it's breakneck speed, and
It is.
I just don't want my neck to be the one that gets broken.
No, and then again, I cannot emphasize enough, especially as an OT. I've been an OT going on 15 years. This is not a replacement for humans by
Right.
any means.
Right.
It requires
No.
a human aspect.
Yeah.
It requires
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can just be used as a tool, I think, to further benefit the
Yeah.
human aspect of therapy and rehabilitation.
Yeah, I think most of AI will enhance human experience and even jobs
Yeah.
and such, but
But not, I think the mistake we make is when we think it can take it over.
yeah. That's
Is that George again?
no, somebody in Virginia Beach. It might be for you. I don't know. But no, my phone's out of.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Yep. We're gonna close down
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
So-
Thank you so much for
Oh,
letting me come and
Amy,
be a
thank
part
you.
of this.
Thank
I
you
really
so
enjoy
much.
it. I appreciate it. I know this is a special community for all of you all, and I just appreciate getting to come here and talk about this stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kathy and Sharon, and
Great
all
questions.
of our many
Thank you for the
joiners.
questions. It would have been a little awkward without them.